regardless of what you look like, we're happy to look at you in your pajamas. Rachel, I'm glitching, can't turn video on. All good. Okay, so, oh, there's still people coming in. Welcome, Katrina. Wow, I'm just saying, please tell us about your business, what you do, and share a link to your website or social media or whatever in the comments so that anybody who is curious while we're on the call can have a little peek and do a bit of stalking, get to know our members a little bit better. Hi, Hayley from My Identity Medical. I love what you do. That's so cool. It's such a great way to get to remember who's in the group as well when you come on these calls. Oh, we've got quite a few people coming in. Hi, Bronwyn. Okay, alrighty. So we are talking email marketing today. Hands up if you're actually already doing some sort of email marketing. Sort of. Hands up if you know you should be doing more. It's probably why you're on the call. Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to first of all introduce you all to Debbie from Task Diva. So Debbie does online course, helps people creating their online courses as well as email marketing. It helps people get it set up with their email marketing, and she does it using MailChimp. I think that's right, isn't it, Debbie? Yeah, and so she's got lots of experience with this. It's basically her niche, so she's totally across it. And I thought it was really, this is a really important topic that I love to cover again and again and again from all different angles with lots of different people's perspectives, because with She Owns It, really it's how I have grown She Owns It, and it's really what made She Owns It a success. And I think I shared in the group the other day, I'll give up all my social platforms to keep my email list, really, because that's where you ultimately you make a lot of your money. So and selling on social media, as we know, just does not work the same way that it did in the early days. So your email list is gold, and really there's a million ways to grow a business. There's a million ways to get eyes on your business, but once you've got people's eyes on your business, an email list is a great way to continue maintaining that your know, like, and trust with your customers, and serving them and helping them stay connected to your business. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to hand over to Debbie, and she is going to do a little mini workshop, I'll call it, about getting started with email marketing. And then we're going to do a bit of a Q&A and answer some of your questions if you've got some about email marketing and where you're at the moment with your email marketing. I'll be interested to hear in the comments while we're going through where you are at with your email marketing, what you feel like is making you stuck or stopping you from moving forward with it. And we can certainly have a bit of a chat about that as we go ahead. Consistency is a really tricky thing. Hands up if you find it really hard to be consistent with your email marketing. Yeah, same. And it's such a strange thing, isn't it? Because although I know that it's been the most powerful thing for my business, I spend so much more time on social media than I do with my email list. So yeah, guilty as charged. So let's just talk about it more, focus on it more, give ourselves permission to get off social media more, and actually talking to the people that have given us the honor of their emails, because it is an honor. And with that, I will hand you over to Debbie, and it is an honor to have you here with us today, Debbie, sharing some of your knowledge and experience. Thank you very much. And if you weren't on the call before, so Debbie is from Task Diva, and she does helps people create online courses as well as setting up their email marketing, and works predominantly in MailChimp, which is one that a lot of early adapters start with. So Debbie, welcome. Thank you very much for coming on the call with us today and sharing your knowledge. I'm going to spotlight your video so that you're sort of bigger. Okay.
Thank you.
And hand over to you.
Cool. Hi, everyone. As Rachel said, I'm Debbie from Task Diva. I hope everyone can hear me okay, because I'm not using my earphones today. No noise outside, so it's quite good. Excellent. Okay, so like as Rachel said, yeah, social media, far more prettier than email. So I can understand why you want to spend more time on that. And I'm probably guilty of that too. But email is where it's at. So I'm just going to share my screen here for a bit of a presentation. And we'll get started. So email marketing and why you should be using it. So your email list. Now this is obviously what you need if you're going to be doing email marketing. So obviously it's a collection of names and addresses. Now the word permission is really important here. You can't just add people to your email list. You need for them to have given you permission. Really, really important, and it is actually legally how it's supposed to be. The minimum, I think, when you're getting people to sign up is just their first name and an email address. You might have reason to want a few other things, perhaps a birthday. So if you have a product-based business, you might want to send out birthday emails, you know. But I think to get people to sign up, the minimum is probably the best. So your first name and an email address, and then they don't have that many barriers to signing up for you because they don't have to give you too much information. So how to collect email addresses? So they can manually sign up. I mean, you can manually sign up your clients or your customers as long as they've given you permission. You can get them to sign up via a form. So that could be on your website. You could have it on your social media or something like a landing page. And another way is via markets and events. So if you do those sorts of things, you can have a form where they can fill out. Or if you're using something like MailChimp, I don't know about the other email platforms, but with MailChimp, they have a mobile app. So you can take your tablet, iPad along, and they can actually just put in their email address straight into their from there, and you don't have to worry about them filling out a form and then you having to manually sign them up. So that's actually a really good idea if you've got something like MailChimp. So why is this important? It's because it's personal. An email lands directly in their inbox. It's not like it's something on their social media feed. They're not scrolling and they'll see something and they'll just keep going past. It makes it more personal when it actually lands in their email box. It's purposeful because they have signed up to hear from you. So you know they want to hear from you, or else they wouldn't have handed over their very valuable email address. And it's also targeted. So if you have different groups of people you want to send emails to, you can just target that specific group. You don't have to have one email that goes out to everybody. And I think it's actually a good idea if you could segment your group or your list down to different groups. And it just makes it far more targeted and more likely they're going to open it if it is directed just to them. So it's one-on-one, which it's read in the privacy of their inbox. So it's not on a newsletter feed or on your social media posts. So yeah, so it's every day because everyone uses email at least once a day. I don't know how many times you go into your email. Mine's probably far too many. I probably need to cut it back and just do it, 2 or 3 times a day. But, and an interesting stat, if you like stats, 97% of internet users have an email address. And that's probably because every time you want to buy something on the internet, you've got to enter your email address. So that's why that is probably so high. You own your email list, so you can actually download that list and keep that in a spreadsheet. You can't download your followers or your likers on social media, and as everyone says, if social media disappears tomorrow, you're still going to have your email list. And of course, it's the best return on investment out of all the e-marketing channels. So email does work and email does sell, but consistency obviously is the key here. If someone only gets your email once every 2 or 3 months, you're not top of their mind. Okay, so building an email list. What do we need here? So obviously an email marketing platform. So I use MailChimp. As you probably know, there's a million out there, and it does depend whether you're service-based or product-based. Some will suit others better, and some integrate with some of your other platforms, your CRM. So you best to do your research and just see what email platform is best for you. I know a lot of people start with MailChimp because it is a really easy one to start with, and it actually can get you can actually get quite targeted with it, but if you're just starting out, I do recommend it. So website or social media to build your list. Website, obviously, you want to have a sign up form on there, and your social media, you want to be directing people to your website or to a landing page to sign up as well. You also need a lead magnet, so that's like your opt-in or your freebie. So you can have, it could be just a simple PDF, 10 ways to whatever it is you want people to do. Or if you're a product-based business, you might want to offer them a discount for signing up, just something to entice them to sign up to your newsletter, make them want to hear more from you too. So most small businesses do acquire their new customers through their email list, which is hard to believe. But what are the common objections? And these are the ones that I hear the most about people not wanting to start newsletters or just finding it really hard to do so. The first one is, I just don't have time. Well, you can say that about everything you have to do in business. Like, you've got to recommend your blog, do your social media, do your newsletters. But I think it's a case of, if it's important to you, you'll find the time, and if not, you'll find an excuse. So if you think about email as being something that is really important in your business and is going to bring you more business, I think you could probably find the time, maybe. Your list is non-existent or very small. Yep, I've been there too, but you've got to start somewhere, and you've got to have somewhere to build your base from. So it may take a while to grow your list, but you've got to, the sooner you start, the sooner it's going to grow. What do I send? Okay, this is actually one of the biggest things I think people do. They go, I just don't know what to send. I don't know what to say. So let's look at some newsletter content. A good idea is to inject some personality and bits about your life, because they've signed up to hear from you, but it's the whole know, like, trust. They want to find out more about you. They want to know who is the person behind the business. And share links to blog, if you write blog posts, or to social media. You might have some social media posts that did really well, so you could pop those in your newsletters, or just share a link to those as well. And also to blog posts. So anything on your website is a really good idea to keep sending people to your website, because once they're on your website, obviously they will probably have a look around. So we know that's a good idea. For your content, I do recommend, depends how often you're sending it. A weekly newsletter isn't going to be, you shouldn't have a very long newsletter if it's weekly. Monthly, you obviously put a bit more information into that, and that's where I suggest you break it up with like subheadings. So people that are scrolling through a newsletter, something that's going to grab their attention, and they'll read that particular paragraph, or if something doesn't, they'll just keep scrolling. Images, they do recommend not having a lot of images, although if you're product based, then you're going to want to showcase what you've got to sell. But maybe one or two if you're just a service-based business, but definitely product-based. You can link directly to your website as well from there. And also, don't be afraid to sell. Now, everyone says value first, which I totally agree with, but you always have to have opportunities in there for them to buy from you. Because what happens if you decide, oh, last few emails I was just all pretty salesy, and this one I'm just not going to have anything, and that could be the one that someone opens that wants to buy from you, and there's nothing there, there's nothing for them to click on, there's no links. You talk about all the value you're giving, but there's no way for them to buy, and they're thinking, oh, this is strange. Like, even if it's just something small like book a call with me, if you're a service-based business, or just a link to your website. Always have something in your newsletter where they can click into and go to your website. So top 3 tips. Now this is to get your newsletters opened and read and action. So the first one is to personalize the subject line. I think most email platforms allow you to do this. Another tip, don't do this every single email, especially if you're sending weekly ones, because people are going to get a bit sick of that. But let's face it, we all like seeing our name, and it pops out to us. So if you're scrolling through your inbox and you see your name, you go, oh, yes, It's me. I'm going to open that one. So yeah, personalized subject line, and but as I say, don't do it too often. But that's, if you've got something really important in your newsletter that you do want them to see, you've got perhaps a new course coming out, or you've got a new product, it's actually a really good way to make sure that one gets opened. The other thing, when I say short and sweet, I don't mean, you know, pages and pages. Obviously, you don't physically have pages in an email newsletter, but as you're scrolling and scrolling, no one wants to scroll for days. Keep it short and sweet. People do skim and scan, so that's why I say make sure it's broken up with small chunks of text, and have some subheadings in there as well, and maybe a couple of images to break it up. So yeah, just no, as I say, nobody wants to scroll through a long newsletter. The other one to get some action is a PS at the end, because let's face it, we all read a PS. You can't help yourself when you're looking and you see something at the bottom of the PS. Oh, that must be important. So that's actually where you can put your most important information. So that could be where you might be selling something, or you've got some training on, or you could say, don't forget something here, or you could even have a tip. You could put a tip there with a link through to maybe something on your website or a blog post or something. So it's sort of three tips for getting them opened, read, and actioned. So beyond your regular newsletter, so this is when you create your newsletter and you're sending that out regularly, what else do you need to be doing? So you want to welcome any new subscribers, so people that sign up. So we do that with, I talked about before, like a lead magnet. So you could have an ebook. You might have written an ebook, so you might want to share that. You would have a link in your email for them to download your ebook, or a simple PDF. Can just be a one-pager, or a coupon for a discount. And then the welcome email is what you would do. That's what the lead magnet gets sent in the welcome email. So with the welcome email, you then want to put that lead magnet in there, and then you can start a sequence from there talking about your business. And so the nurture sequence, you can have as many as you like. 3 to 6 is quite good. I've actually got one with 12 in it, so I wouldn't probably go more than 12. And space them out. You're not sending them every day, every few days. And then once they come to the end of that nurture sequence, that's when they start getting your regular newsletters. So don't, make sure your regular newsletters aren't going out to people that are in that nurture sequence, because it's going to be rather confusing. So nurture sequence is just telling people about you and your business and what you do. If you've got team members, you might want to introduce those people. You might want to talk about your values or your ethics and all that sort of thing that just gives people that know, like, trust, so they can just build up that image of you and get to know you as a person. And now some email marketing facts. So your email list is yours. So like we say, unlike social media, you can't get those names and addresses of people, can't download them like you can on email. And your newsletter builds a know, like, and trust factor. And it's great opportunities to add value to your audience as well. And it's obviously one of the best returns on investment. Apart, I mean, the only other one that probably outshines it is people that referrals and that sort of thing. But as far as social media goes, email does trump that one. And I think alongside using email marketing, you need to use that alongside everything else you do. So alongside your social media, podcasts, blog posts, and always try and direct traffic back to your website, because it's the ultimate goal to have people there. And then your welcome email will actually have the highest open rate, because those people have signed up to hear from you, so wanted to get that lead magnet, and so they're going to open that very first email you send them, so that will have the best open rate that you will probably ever get. And so, yeah, don't underestimate its value. And that concludes. There we go.
Thank you, Debbie. That's a really good kind of overview of how important email is and the impact that it can have for people. I think in the comments, some people were saying that they get like 300 emails. Tanya, I think, said she gets 300 emails a day and deletes them. And I think that is a fear for a lot of people, that they're just going to be sending something that gets deleted. But personally, for me, I think like what you just said before about how it's got to work in with all the other parts of your business.
Yeah.
For us as small business owners, one-woman bands, what we've got to try and do is find the thing that has the maximum impact for the minimum amount of work. And it gets really overwhelming when you start thinking to yourself, I've got to do a blog, I've got to do a podcast, I've got to do a Facebook Lives, I've got to do Instagram Reels, I've got to do all of that stuff, and then I've got to do emails. And somehow it seems like for a lot of people, it's the emails that fall over. Whereas what you're better to do, and if you've only got a tiny, tiny list, it's actually a really golden opportunity for you to start out and figure out what works, because there's no point driving people to your website if you're not then capturing them on your email list, because they'll bounce off your website, never to be seen or heard again. So, so when you're sending people to your website, unless they're ready to buy right now, then your email list is a perfect opportunity for you to maintain a relationship with them, start to build that relationship with them, and then convert them at some point. So I think you've really got to think for yourself, because every business is different as well, isn't it? So for She Owns It, for example, I've got a couple of different email lists. I've got my wait list for people who want to join the members club, which obviously converts much higher than my main email list, which has got thousands of people on it. But some of those people have been on the list for a long time. So, you know, you want to have that, whereas on the wait list, I basically give people an offer to join straight away. And then because I know that they've signed up to the wait list, so they're directly interested in joining the members club. So I think one of the, if you're looking at getting started with email and you've got some of those fears around maybe it just being a waste of time, it's going to drop into people's inboxes and they're not going to be looking at them consistently. For me, I'd be thinking about what you can do in the shortest possible time, like when you've got their attention in the very early stages, what you can do to maximize that. Because that's probably when, in those early stages, when they're more likely to convert to a customer, because they've actually shown an active interest in your offer. So let's have a look here. Viv said, I've struggled to do this, especially lead magnets. Rachel just had an idea, read newsletters. Could it be a summary of what you've been up to on social media? So it kind of writes itself. Our biggest challenge is getting people to sign up, but I don't want to use discounts as incentive. Yeah, so I think this is when it comes into strategy as well. Inside the members club, you guys, there is a sales 2021 sales planner, I think I called it. But basically one of the most effective things that I've found for me is to sit down and do a calendar of the year and actually figure out when I'm going to do my sales for my business, or how I'm actually going to create urgency around the members club and at what stages. So it might be that it's like on my birthday, I send out a $50 discount on joining, or if it's, you know, the anniversary of when I started She Owns It, I send out a business birthday thing, or maybe it's Mother's Day or something like that. Mapping out throughout the year all of the events that might give you an opportunity to give a bonus or a sale or whatever it is. If you're not creating urgency for people, then they're just going to sit on the fence. People have got like 50,000 decisions or something crazy like that they make in any one day, and you only have a certain opportunity to convince them to prioritize their decision around your business. So using a calendar like that really helps you, and it has helped me in the past, because it takes the pressure off the rest of the time I can just add value to my customers, right? Because I know that in April, that's when I'm going to do a sale. Or it's not every time I send an email out, I'm not sitting there thinking, how am I going to convince people to buy off my list today? That's not the purpose of it. It's like helping people, nurturing people, building know, like, and trust. And then every once in a while, I open an opportunity to buy. And that's exactly what I did with the Facebook group as well. When I started the Free She Owns It Facebook group, it was like most of the time I was in there just building trust, giving knowledge, sharing awareness, connecting people, and then every now and again members club doors are open and then people would buy. So you've got to have that overall strategy, and then when you've got that overall strategy and keep it super simple, it takes some of the overwhelm away from what you're actually trying to do on your email list, because it's got a really clear purpose. Would you agree with that, Debbie?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you definitely need to plan. Like I plan social media and blog posts and newsletters, but they're all the same. Like the blog post that I do once a month is broken up into 5 to 10 bits. So I take 5 to 10 points from each blog post, and they make my social media posts and they make my newsletters. So it's all done. Like, it's actually really easy. If you've got a blog post, you've done your social media and your newsletters are done. Yeah.
But I think that trips people up a little bit as well, because that connection between social media, blog and email, and also feeling like you need to consistently write blog posts all the time, which is also really time consuming. One strategy I've seen that I thought was really great with blogs was actually to write 5 or 6 just pillar posts, and this works for a product-based business as well as a service-based business. And a pillar post is basically something that's evergreen. It's always relevant. So it's not like, here's my 3 tips for making more product sales at Christmas time, or something like that. That's not an evergreen post, because it's just valuable at Christmas time, right before Christmas, for example. But if you really know who your target customer is, and you know their main pain points, and you also know their objections to signing up for your service, then you could write 5 or 6 really high value blog posts. And actually, you don't need to constantly be adding to your blog after that, because when someone new comes into your audience, they've got these 5 or 6 really incredible high value ones. So, and people often don't come back to your blog again and again and again and again. But when I find a really good blog, I will click through and read 5 or 6 of that person's blog posts in a go and be like, right, this person adds a lot of value. I definitely want to be on their list. And then everything in your social media is driving people to your blog, which is then getting people to sign up to your email list to hear more and get updates. And that's where you've got that little circle of social media to blog, where you add a lot of value on your blog, and then or wherever it is that you choose to add value. It might be that you don't do any blogs, but you do a monthly webinar or freebie or something like that. And then from the blog, they're pointed to signing up to your email, which is the next step. So Rachel said, I just had an idea in newsletters. Could it be a summary of what you've been up to on social media, so it kind of writes itself, as would reflect your planning? So if you're planning on social media and sending it out to your audience based on the back of that, I mean, I think you probably could do that, Debbie. I'd be interested to hear on what you say to that. For me, I think what you said during your training resonated a little bit more, which is that if you've got a social media post that actually is interesting and goes well, don't keep sending people shit. Yeah. No, that's why people aren't opening your emails, is that like, if I put average amount of effort into sending an email, write an average subject heading, then average number of people open it, you know? And so it's all about, if I've written an average social media post and no one looks at it, why would I share it on my email as well? Because it's already proven to me that it hasn't gone very well. Whereas if I write something on social media that obviously resonates with people, it's like, guys, this is a conversation that everyone's having. What do you think about it? Come and join in. And then it's like, okay, you might send them to a social media post, but within that social media post, maybe you're talking also about a topic that you've spoken about on your blog in more depth or something like that. So then you're sending them back from the email to the blog, where they can also sign up on your website or pay for a product or whatever it is. So yes, I think you can definitely tie it all in together, Rachel. Is that what would you say to that, Debbie?
Yeah, definitely. And also for those social media posts, if you've got ones that have gone really, really well, and especially if the ones that ask a question, you can put that back into your email, and then you can ask people, you know, hit reply, or tell me what you think, and get people to reply to your email as well. And as far as the subject lines go, make sure the subject line reflects what's in the email. If you've just got some weird, ambiguous subject line that makes no sense to when you click into the email and you read it, people are just going to be put off. They're going to, well, this isn't what I was led to believe, you know. I mean, you want to have it a little bit interesting, so they want to click through to your email, but don't just lie, because if they go in there and they can't find what the subject line alluded to, then they're just going to leave, and they'll probably unsubscribe, and they may not, you know, or they may not open any more newsletters. So you want to have the subject line that's a little bit enticing, but you've got to, you know, say what's in there, what actually, and make sure it actually is in there. And so with a social media post, you know, whatever title or whatever you use for your social media post, you could have that as your subject line, because obviously if it's worked, then it will work to open your email as well.
Yeah, and that honestly, everyone, that is something that I really recommend you do some Googling on and looking into subject lines, because it's super powerful. If no one's opening your emails, then it's not because they don't like your business or they're not prioritizing, it's because the subject line isn't enticing enough. It's the most powerful thing. It's the same as when people say to me, I don't think Market Day really works for me because no one engages with my post. So there's a reason why people aren't engaging with your post. It's the way that you're writing it. And copy is so, so important. And so that first line of copy is the most important, because when someone's scrolling down, for example, in a Facebook group, and they're seeing, or on their Facebook page, and they're seeing post after post after post, which ones are they going to stop and look at? Something with a grabbing image and something with a grabbing first line. So the easiest thing that I always try and lean on with something like that is exactly what Debbie said, in terms of something enticing, but also just one thing. Don't try and cover 5 different points in one Facebook post or email or whatever it is. It's just, what is the one purpose, and let everything else go. Don't give 5 different links to 5 different things in your email, because then it's like, whoa, which one am I even supposed to do? Little one. Just give the one. What's the purpose of this email? What's the purpose of this post? Cut out all the waffle, straight to the point, and make it entertaining if you can, but less is more. And just take a bit of that stress off yourself by having to like address a million things in one go, because it's snippets, right? We live in a snippet society, don't we?
Definitely.
So Tanya said, I write a seasonal newsletter that's issued every 3 months, normally printed and included in orders. However, this time I'm thinking of attaching it as a PDF, just trying to hyperlink everything. Most people who sign up on my website do not subscribe to my newsletter. I think there's probably quite a lot to unpack there.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think should be better sending out more emails with less in it.
Yeah, that's a
seasonal once every 3 months. It's not going to cut it. I mean, I recommend. I love that
as a. I love that idea as a printed, posted newsletter. I would love to hear from our local real estate agent. Sends us something at least once a quarter in the post, and I find it. My husband finds it hilarious because I really like it. And I think it's great, like, to hear from him and to hear a little bit about his family and actually get something in the post. Snail mail is awesome, but your online email strategy will be different to your snail mail strategy. So like a 3-page printed newsletter would be awesome to get in the post, because it's almost like reading a newspaper or something like that, really quite cute. But via an email, you're definitely better to break it up and do, even if it's once a month and less in it, it's probably going to be more impactful for you, and directly in the email as well, because people aren't really interested in opening a PDF and then waiting for it to load or whatever it is. Like, you really want them to be able to open it, get what they want straight away, and then click on to the next thing. So it's got to be purposeful. So you're giving them, in those first few lines, really clear call to action of what you want them to do next in the email, or what they can do next if the topic's engaging for them.
Yeah, and I think too, seasonal's not really enough to keep you top of their mind. I think you want to be doing at least once a month emails, and as I said before, keep it short and sweet. Have 3 to 4 little subjects or subheadings in there so people can just skim down and just whatever interests them, and if there's something to click through, then they can click through. But yeah, no one wants to scroll and scroll and scroll on an email newsletter.
I was trying to figure out who said because their kids took part. Yeah. Yeah. I think people have a few mindset concerns around email marketing because they think it doesn't work for them if it's not working for them, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
oh, email's not working for me, so it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I'm super confident that any new business that I started, the first thing that I would be looking at doing before I got on social media or anything, if I was starting a new business, I would be stepping back and looking at when somebody lands on my website, what happens next and how am I going to serve them so that they like me, and how am I going to capture their details so that I can keep in touch with them over time. And what am I going to deliver them on my email list? And then all of my social media and everything becomes so much simpler because let me give you another example. When I started She Owns It, I only had my one main mailing list. And after a while, I realized the conversion rates to the members club weren't as high on that mailing list because although the mailing list was getting bigger, some people have been on that list for years, and some people just like the updates. Some people join it because we send out the odd event, in-person event, and that's why they're on it. They're never going to join the members club. And so you kind of feel like, what's the point in me writing freebies and coming up with new content and all of that kind of stuff for these people? Sorry, guys, it's a bit hard with her chatting away. When I know they're probably not going to purchase the membership. So that's when I had the idea to start the waitlist. And the first time I started my waitlist email, I just said join the waitlist. And people would sign up. I didn't have an opt-in or an offer or anything like that. It was just a join the waitlist option. And then I think I hadn't opened, you guys know what I've been like, very sporadic with opening the members club because I've been having babies and busy doing other stuff. But occasionally I feel like opening the doors, and it's very unstrategic at the moment. But I've been testing a few things. So I tested, when I started the join the waitlist option, I left it open for a month. I think I had 36 people on the list. And when I sent them an email to say that I was opening the doors to the members club, about 65% of them converted to members. So that taught me that my potential for actually making money using the members club was just basically to have a join the waitlist link and drive all my social media posts and the strategy for my social media is to get people on my waitlist. My other email list is really just to serve my audience and like my members, because if I might talk about Debbie and my email list to 5,000 people, and that helps her. So there's a different purpose to that email list for me. Sorry, just trying to distract this one a little bit. So yeah, and that has kept it really simple. And I haven't actually had a welcome sequence to those, at the time that I sent that out to those 30 people, I didn't even have a welcome email. It just popped up saying, thank you for joining the waitlist. So I hadn't done any of the stuff. It was just a test, but that one test. And I've done heaps of tests over the years. So it's not like I just did one thing and it magically worked. Like that was just one thing that I've tried that has shown me that that's quite a powerful option for me for emails. But the thing about it is there's a lot of urgency, right? So there's one opportunity to join, it's happening now. And once I've closed the doors on it, I'll take you off the wait list because you don't want to join right now, and I'll put you on our other email list if you want to, or you can join our other email list and keep in touch. But this is your opportunity to join off the back of this opening of the waitlist, which you signed up to. So It makes social media much easier for me because the purpose of my social media is either just to deliver value or to get people to sign up to the wait list. Really clear, if that makes sense. So how about everybody else? Where's everyone else with? Tanya said I've done once a week and once a month for years. No change in sales from those shorter bits since I've gone seasonal. I run 3 companies, so doing lots of emails is exhausting. Yeah, and I think that's where you probably haven't hit on the thing yet that's working, that's going to work for you. And this is the frustrating thing, right? Put like hands up and let me know if you feel like you've tried a few different things with email and just hasn't landed, or you just where are you with it? It's just not off the bat. You just haven't tried yet very hard, or what you have tried hasn't landed, so it's kind of made you lose a bit of enthusiasm for it.
And I think another thing is open rates. People get a bit sad about the open rates. It's, you know, they're quite low. I think it's around 15 to 25% is classed as a really good open rate. So don't be discouraged if that. I sent an email out last night and I got a 55% open rate. And that's because mine are really targeted, because I have 2 separate emails I send out. One is for my online courses and one is for email marketing. So some people get both if they're interested in both, and others just want one or the other, and that's fine. And it was an email marketing one I sent out last night. And so because it's really targeted to the people that want it, I got, you know, what I consider a very good open rate. But honestly, 15 to 25%, if that's what you're getting open, that's really good.
And also just to keep in mind that just because someone's not opening some of your emails doesn't mean that they're never going to be interested in any of them. So,
well, actually, that doesn't mean to say they're not reading them. It's really interesting because a lot of email platforms, I use Outlook, and I have a reading pane, which means, a preview pane, which means I can actually read emails without opening them. Okay. So email opening rates aren't actually very accurate, and in fact, they're probably a lot lower than is actually happening.
You know that because I'm Gmail, so if I want to see it.
Yeah, and I don't know about other platforms, but yeah, I know that with mine, I can read them without actually opening them.
Then I guess you're focusing on your click-through rates a little bit more.
Well, that's it. With the new Apple update, the iOS 15, they are going to, if you open on an email, an Apple platform, they're going to block that, so you're not going to know what your open rates are. But I always say to people, don't actually focus so much on your open rates, because it's actually not a big deal. What you want to focus on is your click-through rate. And I think that's what's going to happen. More people are going to be focused on that now rather than their open rates. I mean, if you're still using, if people are opening on Gmail or Outlook or whatever, that's fine. You'll still get those open rates. But if it's on an Apple device, you won't. And what it is when the way they track it is there's like a little 1 pixel by 1 pixel photo that's in the email. And that's how they know that you've opened the email. That little photo comes up. Oh, you can't see it obviously because it's so tiny. And that's how they track that you've opened the email. But like, as I say, I read something in the reading pane, so preview pane. So yeah, it doesn't track that. But I think the focus is now turning from open rates to the click-through rate. So it's all very well someone opening your email, but are they going to click on the links that you provide? Are they going to click on something that interests them? You know, they're going to click through to your blog post, because if you've written a blog post or if you've done a podcast, you could have like the first, say for the blog post, have the first paragraph of what's in that blog post and then have a little read more button. So that gets the interest. You've sort of got that first paragraph. Oh yes, I want to read more about that. So they'll click through to your website, which is the ultimate goal, and read that. So click-through rates, I think, are going to override your opening rates in the future.
And I think something that Viv brought up was that she doesn't like discounting. So she doesn't want to use their email list to convert people using discounts. And I hear that quite a lot from people, often from product providers who don't have a lot of margin. So, you know, you're relying on getting the full price for your product, and discounting just cuts into your margin too much. If you're not going to use some sort of discounting or bonus or free shipping or something like that strategy to create some urgency around your sales, then you are going to find it harder, because it's like there's no compelling reason for someone to take action right now. But there are ways that people do it. So it might be that you're releasing a limited product line, or you know, a limited number of dishcloths in a new color, or a new combination and just in a new pack of colors, or something like that for you, Viv. I don't know what it could be.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll get onto Google, and I'll be looking at how to ethically create urgency around product sales when you don't want to use price-based discounts all the time. And if you are struggling to if you're happy to use some price-based discounts, but you know it's going to cut into your margin a lot, then you might want to look at your pricing and reconsider where your pricing's sitting so that you can discount. It depends, right? Because you get places, look at the big hitters, you get places like Farmers, that's their strategy, right? Is to have their prices high enough on a day-to-day basis that they just discount all the time, and you go on and you buy during the sales. And places like that, that's what they do. Other places like Tiffany's, well, you'd never get a sale from Tiffany's, or, you know, because that's not their strategy. So you've got to decide where you sit in the market, and where you what your sort of back-end strategy is to make sales if you're not going to use urgency around product sales. There are other ways to do it, but my big learning over time has been that when there is no urgency, there is no action. So because people have got so many decisions to make over a certain period of time, that they're just not going to focus on you if you don't make it urgent. And that's why it's very, very hard for anyone who's working on selling an online course. You'll know this, Debbie. If you're not using a launch strategy, if you're trying to do an evergreen strategy, which means your course is available to purchase all the time, you're going to find it much, much harder to make, say, the volume of sales than if you do launches, because there's so much urgency around a launch. And it's not to say that it can't be done, because it can, but you just have to figure out how to create urgency using what's called an evergreen model, which is when it's for sale and open all the time. So your email can be a really powerful way to do that, because you can create urgency in an evergreen way. For like a new customer could get a one-time only discount, or so Amanda, Kiwis are one of the most price conscious nations, very last minute with decision making, often the last 24 hours of when people act on a sale. Yep. But it's also that kind of I was thinking about this morning, I was thinking about that argument people have of charge what you're worth, and how I've always had a few concerns with that argument, because to me, I think it's more important to charge the perceived value of your product. And if the perceived value isn't high enough, like I think you ladies are all worth thousands of dollars for everything. You know, you're amazing. And if you're a service provider, of course you're worth it. You are worth it. You should all have more money in your bank accounts, and we should all be charging more for what we do. But when you talk to people about your product, if you're not talking to them about it in such a way that they perceive your product to be worth thousands of dollars, then they're not going to pay you. They're not going to be prepared to pay you that sort of value, because they perceive that they might think, oh, I love what Debbie does, but I can't really see thousands of dollars worth of value in it, so I'm not going to charge, I'm not going to pay that much for it. Whereas, because if Debbie's out there saying, well, I'm fantastic, I'm worth $1,000 for this, then you're kind of like, okay, sweet. But if she's out there saying, creating an amazing evergreen funnel or evergreen structure around your course sales means you won't be having to do stressful launches. You won't be having to work all the time on your marketing. It will tick away in the background, and you can set up something that's creating you thousands of dollars worth of income in the background, day in, day out, with very little work. Once it's set up, I can help you do that. I'll be like, sweet as, here's my $1,000. Come and help me set that up. I am so grateful to you. Okay, so the perceived value is super, super important. And that's where, when you're looking at your pricing and discounting and all of that kind of stuff and creating urgency, it's like, okay, what's the perceived value to people of what I'm sending through to them in this email right now? How am I adding value, and how am I offering them value if they take action right now? And how am I going to, you know, use some of those strategies to get them off the fence and get them to buy now. Amanda, I used to work on Kathmandu's advertising account. We saw this every time. The biggest sale is always winter, followed by January and Easter. Viv, that's the thing, like, your products are just so amazing. I think I gave you a review on your Facebook page the other night because I was sitting there thinking I've been meaning to do it for ages. I mean, you wouldn't think that a dishcloths would make your life that much better. I actually enjoy using them. I think about them when I use them because they're so thick and lush and kind of, Amanda's nodding her head, she gets it, she uses Viv's dishcloths. Yes, Viv, share a link. I'll show you, I'm going to show you because...
Yeah, I want to know about these dishcloths.
First of all, I love the colours because I just love these organic kind of,
Oh,
I've got this one in like a really rustic orange kind of colour.
Nice.
And this, honestly, this actually, I'm embarrassed because it hasn't been washed for a few days, but it's really thick, and I should be an influencer for these. But do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if you sell these in packs of different colours, I'm not sure if Viv's still on the call at the moment, but if she put a release out of a different colour bundle that she was only going to do 20 of or whatever it is, I'll be like, oh, I've been meaning to get some more, but do I like that colour bundle? Yes, okay, I'm going to grab one because otherwise everyone else is going to get them before I do. And then there's no discount there. It's just a different way of presenting the product, right? So there are ways to do it with product-based businesses and products that are for sale all the time. But yeah, EcoVask is Viv's product, and they're super awesome. Yeah, so how you're talking about what you do and your copy and your emails is so important, because it's all about that perceived value. And I think a big thing, Debbie, that you'll probably see as well is if you're really enthusiastic about it, if you allow yourself to step out of those shoes of feeling like, oh, I don't like to pester people about sales, I don't want people to be like, oh, another sales email in my inbox. If you actually just get excited about it and remember to tap into those people that love what you do, like next time Viv sends an email, next time you send an email, Viv, think about me talking about this and be like, that's who I'm sending this email to. Rachel will be the one that clicks on this. Like, she's a raving fan. Forget about all the ones that make you think, not sure if I could send it, because then you come to writing your emails from a real place of fear. And you want to have that person in your mind that you know loves what you do and is excited about it, and just write to them. Write that heading for them and write that copy for them, and that helps you release some of that fear around, you know, all the people that aren't going to like it, or the people that are going to get it and be like, oh, I don't like getting those emails in my inbox. So it's like, clean your inbox out then. Like, get off the list. That's not my problem. Don't email me back and tell me you don't want to hear from me anymore, which, who's had that happen to them? It's like, okay, unsubscribe. There's an unsubscribe button. Just let go of your kind of fears around that, I guess. Helen said, is it better to use an independent platform like MailChimp rather than something like Wix that has its own email marketing function? Debbie?
I think it's better to use an actual email marketing platform because they're set up to do that. I can't talk about Wix because I don't know it, although I have a client I do email marketing for in MailChimp who have a Wix platform, but it's because it's set up specifically for email, and I think that's why I would go for a platform over something like Wix with their own email. But whatever works for you and whatever's easiest is the way. I mean, it's like websites. It's what suits one person is not going to suit another person. So you've got to just do your own research and think about what you would prefer. I think if we're going back to open rates, although I know we're not going to concentrate on them so much going forward, I don't think. Any more platform's definitely going to have a higher open rate than something like a Wix type email. I would think so, because things like Gmail and that will put them either into spam or promotional folders or whatever. So yeah.
And on that as well, what you were saying about just use whichever platform's the easiest. It's definitely like you'll get people who say you're doing it wrong. You need to get a website person. You need to pay. You shouldn't use Squarespace or Wix or anything like that, because you're not going to get a custom website. You're not going to get a good enough brand. You're not going to get You're going to get people who tell you that, but that might not be right for you. And it's always my thing to say, if that's not you, then you are still doing a great thing. Just the minimum viable product is absolutely doable to make money off a business where you've used an off-the-shelf website, you've done the brand yourself, and you're setting up the email platform on Wix. If that's the easiest thing for you right now, just do it. Don't let those voices in your head of people saying it's not professional enough, you haven't got your funnel sorted out, you haven't used a professional to show you how to do this. It doesn't matter, because I swear to God, I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on professionals over the years and not always seen the results. So if you have got the money to spend on outsourcing and you've got someone to trust, my view on outsourcing with things like this is that it's always a risk. It's always a risk that you're going to spend that money and it's not going to work. And you have to be okay with that, because that's part of business, right? You're getting someone that you hope you can trust, and you hope it works out, and hopefully it will. And a lot of the time it does, but there is a risk that even if you do outsource it, it's not going to work. and so at least if you're doing it yourself, you're getting it done. So if you want to do it on Wix just to get started, do it on Wix to get started. And you're better to do it like that and start making some sales and have a savings account, like have a target. Like once I've made $2,000 worth of sales using my dinky little Wix email list or whatever it is, then I'm going to hire Debbie to set me up on MailChimp. But I have to make my $2,000 first. And that's my challenge to myself. And that's how I do a lot of pay for a lot of my outsourcing and stuff, because it's really easy. And to put your hand up in your business, if you're like this, to put off making sales, because you've got everything. Oh, I'll just do this before I put a sale on. I'll just do this before I promote. I'll just do this. I'll just do this. It's like, okay, you're constantly putting it off because of our fears around selling. But if you're trying to make your business more systemized and easier and actually outsource more, then that's a great way to be like, okay, well, I've told myself that I'm going to make my own life easier by handing this over to somebody else, but only once I've made the sales. Then you get your little butt out there and you actually start, making some sales. That's what I'm like. So Tanya said, if I've understood this correctly, my inside this issue should be the leading subjects on my email with a couple of lines, and then have my PDF attached to entice them to read it. You could do it that way. You could be, if you've got your quarterly or seasonal email, you just want to make sure that you know what the most captivating thing is for them to be reading about in that issue. Because a subject heading that says our spring newsletter is not going to land, unless you've got people that are opening them every time. They're so excited about opening them, they know it's going to be worth it. Like, it doesn't tell me enough. But inside our spring newsletter, discover your greatest, or our spring newsletter is going to somehow, offer you a transformation or something exciting. Then it's more likely they're going to be looking at it. So you could do that, and then do inside it snippets of the best, like the highlights of what's in there, and then linking to opening the newsletter for reading more on it. But I guess I'd say the problem that I see with the PDF idea is that if the call to action is to open a PDF, you're almost better just to actually write that PDF on your blog.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And then the call to action in your email is like, read it here, and just put it out there to everyone. Would be a way to do it.
I just, instead of set up a blog and have your newsletter as your blog, and therefore every little piece that you put in, read more, or find out more or whatever and
if
click
you are
through.
doing that, that's actually another really simple way to do the blog thing, is that basically when you write a blog post, you send an email out and you drive your traffic to the blog on that post by saying, 3 things you need to let go of about being a small business owner. Might be a blog post that I write, tomorrow. And then I send the email out and I'm like, here's my email, 3 things. But always, if you're going to do that, what I like to do is add a little bit of special magic to the email, because those people have signed up to the list, right? So you don't want to be sending them an email that just replicates what's on your blog, because then it's like, what extra are they getting for being on your email? So if I was going to do that, I'd maybe start it with like, on our blog this week, I've shared some secrets about 3 things that I see that hold people back, that you can, that you can be okay with, or whatever it is. But I also wanted to tell you, as someone who's subscribed to my email, this is a really powerful tool that I've used to move past it. And that bit's perhaps not on the blog post, so that people on your email list feel special for being there. So you're always giving those people on your email a little bit more. Okay. Haley said, so Debbie, do you do this as a service? So you don't actually do emails for people, like, or do you?
Yeah, no, I do. I have a, I do emails for people if they want newsletters sent out. So I do monthly, weekly, fortnightly type emails. Or I actually do some seasonal ones as well.
Do you help people with the strategy behind it? So like that connecting between, what am I posting on my social media? What am I posting on my blog? And do I need a blog? And what's the minimum viable way that I can use my email to grow?
Yep, we look at newsletters and how we can grab that content from different areas and how we can make that work for them.
Yeah. So so she can help with the strategy behind it, and then actually the implementation as well. She's very busy, so so you do need to, if you're thinking about it, I'd give yourself. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because I think I spoke to you a while ago and you're like a couple of months lead time or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, well, when you're ready for it, you're kind of ready for it today. But you sit on it for years. So if anyone else is like that, that's what I'm like. So a couple of months isn't that long. Tanya, don't really want to do a blog, have avoided them. You've got to go with what works for you, as long as it is working. Sal's saying I'm repurposing blog posts to send to my email list as soon as we finish here. Just make sure you've got that call to action on your blog post to then move to the next step. So you might they have to rejig your blog posts up a little bit. How are people doing video and email? I had an email with a video from someone I'm on the mailing list for, and I thought that was cool. Yeah, there is there's some new software out now. I think you can embed, what I see that have seen people in the past doing MailChimp, and Debbie, you'll be able to speak to this, is like a screenshot of my face. And I have done this in the past with an arrow on it, and I've just made that picture in Canva. And so I will create the video, upload it to YouTube or wherever I want to share it, Facebook post or wherever it is. And then in the email, I've just created in Canva, like there's me in the middle of my talk, and then circle, arrow, and then it's like click on here to watch. And then they click on it because it feels like it's just going to open within the email, but then it actually opens in another platform and starts. And I think a lot of places block the video content in the email, but I have seen it. Bonjoro I've used before as well.
You can't actually embed your video into an email newsletter. But you certainly can put a link in, and like Rachel said, that if you just do a screenshot with that little arrow in it, put that in from Canva, so it looks like you're clicking on it, and it's kind of like the we play button. And then you've obviously got the link that you got that image linking to your YouTube or wherever you've got your video.
Yeah, and GIFs. Like catching. Sal said we'll do it with a couple of clients by embedding YouTube video. I just wonder if they get blocked sometimes. I don't know. But you can, again, it's like that sort of thing is where split testing is great, because you do, send out to 2 different portions of your audience. If you've got 200 people on your list, send 100 of them the image of you with the thing, and send the other 100 the embedded YouTube, and then just see what people click on.
Yeah, or a button or something. You could say, watch video here, and click the button and just say, I think the image would be more likely they'll click on that than just a button. And like Amanda said, GIFs as well. You can put GIFs straight into newsletters now, which is quite cool.
Yeah, and Tanya said, is articles on my website another name for blog? Yep. Blogs are most
if that's a Wix, I think that's, is that Wix? I'm not sure. There's one that, I do articles on the website, and then from MailChimp, we link it through. So we just take the photo with the image, and then you just link through, and it just goes straight through to the website. So the articles will be like a blog.
Yeah,
and then
a
you
lot
can
of
just
people call their blog like latest news or my tips or whatever it is. I have read before, it's better just to call it blog because everybody knows what a blog is. Yeah. So Tanya, what I would do is, if you're doing articles on your website, which I presume it will be the same as a blog, and you've got an image, and then when you create your MailChimp newsletter, put that same image in, and then link that image through to that article on your website. And then and especially if you've got lots of different articles, you might have 3 or 4, then you could have 3 or 4 images which they click through. Awesome. Ladies, we might have to go. We've been just over an hour, so there's lots of Q&A. But if you've got more questions, please feel welcome to pop into the event, or even just post in the Facebook group and just say that you watched the training and that you had some follow-up questions, and tag in Debbie and I. And there's also other people in the group who can help with those sort of questions as well, so you get that group knowledge there, and just say, this is where I'm at with my email marketing, this is my question that I had. We're always there for follow-up on these calls, and Debbie's website is Task Diva, which you'll find on the event. And obviously if you just look up Debbie in the group, you'll be able to connect with her that way. Thank you so much, Debbie, because I think you did a really good job of covering like some of the basics for the people who are at that real basic stage. Thanks for the stones that you've been playing with outside. Then there's probably some people on the call who've been like trying and banging their head against the wall a little bit, and I think that's where a lot of people fall down, because they don't understand the strategy is not working perfectly for them. And that's what I'm like as well. That's where I'm at. It's like an ongoing challenge to find something that
and consistency is really important too. I think too, people sort of think, I'll just do one here and one there, but I think it's like everything with your social media and stuff, it is consistency. So I know it's just another thing to do but that's what we have to do.
And like I said before, it's 100% worth spending more time trying to figure it out than it is on social media. Like, don't bother with social media if you don't have this figured out. Like, if you're looking at a task list of things to work on in your business, you've gone way far down the task list by spending a whole lot of time on social media posts. If you don't actually know how you're converting your sales to sales once people come onto your website. And sales posts on social media don't work. And then sending people to your website and then not compelling them to take action, another next step, somehow doesn't work either, because they'll come to your website, they'll look around, and then they'll bounce, and then they'll never go back. So that's where you've got to spend the bulk of your time is getting that set up, because I'd rather have an audience of 10 and know that 5 of them are actually going to convert to customers than have an audience of 10,000 and know that 5 of them are going to convert to customers. Which is what happens. You spend all that time nurturing a big social media audience and no one converts because you haven't worked on that strategy. And email's a golden route to doing really well with that. So if nothing else, I hope this has made you realize that this is one of the, if you didn't already know, which you probably did, one of the really important tools to work on first. And as I said, if you've got any questions, then hit us up in the group. We would love to chat with you more about it. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Debbie.
everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.